Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm just going to do a chit chat, get ready with me. I will be using products from my 2-week makeup basket, of course, and I do have a little sparkling water here with me because it is only noon after all. I'm just going to use a little bit of my CeraVe eye cream. I've gone through a few of these. I do really like it. I don't find that it makes much of a difference in the appearance of the skin under my eyes, but it definitely does keep it moisturized without clogging the pores or giving me those little mealy bumps. So I like it for that, and I'm just going to use that to prep under my eye. Does anybody use an under eye primer? I don't know how long that's been going on for, but I'm seeing them on the market more and more these days, and to me it sounds kind of silly. Yeah, you tell me what you think, if you use it or not, if you find that it's useful. Alright, so I'm just going to give this a shake, this Beekman primer. It says to do that. Oh, this one. I was so excited to get this, and just the more I've used it, it's a regret for sure. It's got this kind of sickly sweet smell to it that really lingers and kind of makes me feel a little nauseous when I'm using it. So that's fun. And I am also using this NARS foundation as a part of my 2-week makeup basket. So, okay, the other day I used these two together. I put this on first, as you would, and then I put this on top, right? Okay, so that didn't wear very well. This ended up looking even cakier than it normally does and extremely oily. So, I don't know how much of a difference this is going to make, but in the name of science, I'm actually going to mix these together on a palette, and I'm actually going to add a drop of this Flower Beauty Heat Wave bronzing essence to kind of bring the shade down a notch, just to try and make this work for me. So I'm going to shake the NARS one too, and I won't shake the Flower Beauty product because that would just be a mess. So with the NARS one, you need so little. I'm just going to do a couple, about that much. A pea-sized amount. And, okay, so for this Beekman primer, I usually use about 3 pumps to cover my whole face. Not a whole lot comes out with each pump. But I feel like that's really going to bulk this product up and make it, like, just a lot of volume. So, well, no, okay, we'll go with the 3 pumps. Oh, it's so watery. Alright, that's delightful. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a little bit of this one here just to adjust the shade. That primer, it gives quite a white cast, so I do feel like it will be necessary to add something to it to change the shade a little bit. I think I might have added a little too much, but oh well. So here's what it looks like. Oh, super runny. I'm just going to mix that together with my little no-name makeup spatula. Oop, you can't even see. There we go. Okay, so this will be an okay shade. What do you think? That primer, the smell on it, it's horrible. Okay, let's just regroup here. Love sparkling water. Alright, so I'm going to put this on my face. So the texture is a lot nicer than if it was just the NARS foundation itself. That NARS foundation is, I think it's like too pigmented. The little pigments in it actually kind of appear powdery on the skin, and throughout the day it just turns into a cakey mess on me. And you would think that with my skin type being oily, that it would wear beautifully because it would absorb my oils and whatnot, which it does, but as the oils absorb throughout the day, it's like it just adds to the bulk of the foundation and it becomes thicker and thicker. So that is been a struggle, and it's prevented me from getting a lot of use out of it. Well, isn't that a nice surprise? On initial application, it looks a lot better than it normally would. So mixing in that primer did really do something to the texture, which I like. Kind of makes sense though, doesn't it? That primer for me is way too watery and the foundation is too thick. So that kind of makes sense texture-wise. The smell of that primer though, and I'm just gagging on the inside. I do have a little extra on my palette. I think I'll just try to build up the coverage around my cheeks a little bit with that. And hold my breath while I do it. Because, yeah. Just think, well, yeah. Just thinking about the smell is making me sick. You know what, too? When I first got this primer, which has been, what? A week and a half, 2 weeks? It hasn't been long. When I first got it, I noted the smell because I stuck my nose into the little bit that I pumped out on my hand, and I was like, oh, this has kind of a sweet smell. But as I'm using it, I feel like the smell is getting stronger and stronger, and I wonder if that's like a sign of a formula that's not quite stable, you know, now that air's been introduced to it. It is a pump, you know, so, but it's not an airless pump. So some air is getting in. Okay, so I think that actually is kind of a nice trick to make that foundation texture a lot more palatable for me. And it still gave me some medium coverage, which is really what I prefer. Okay, I'm gonna move on to concealer, which is another 2-week makeup basket item. It's my MAC Prep and Prime, just in Bright Forecast. I love this stuff. So just put a little bit of this under my eyes. I don't get a lot of deep circles, a lot of dark circles under my eyes. Maybe just a touch of a bluey color here and there, but nothing that I find to be too noticeable. So a product like this that's sheer and brightening is ideal for me, at least at this time of my life. I'm gonna go right here too. And I am going to use my sponge just to pat that in. So doing this low buy, no buy project that I'm doing right now, or not really a project, but just a shift in mindset to how I'm spending my money, I've really started to realize that I've been spending a ridiculous amount of time on the Sephora and Ulta websites going through their new releases. And that's something that, you know, I always knew, you know, I knew I did that as entertainment, but I didn't realize how much I was doing it and how much of a habit it had truly become. I find myself almost with muscle memory when I'm sitting on the couch watching a TV show or something. I'll find myself reaching to the side of the couch where my laptop is stored, pulling it out and just going to these websites to browse the new releases. I'm not really even thinking. It's like it's just programmed into, you know, my movements. And that's probably not good, especially since I'm trying not to spend so much money. It's not a healthy thing to do. So that's been kind of an interesting insight, or something I've kind of learned about myself, is I'm really investing a lot of my time into just browsing new releases. So that's something I'm definitely consciously working on, and it's been a little bit difficult because it really is entertaining for me. But you know, with the amount of YouTube I watch, it's not as if a new release is going to go unnoticed by me. I will hear about it, I will see it reviewed, I will see people talk about it before it comes out. I don't need to be on these websites where I can actually purchase the item in order to learn about it. So it's been a little bit of a head trip there. Okay, that's enough talking about new releases. It's my Hourglass diffused light ambient lighting powder, and you can see it is very light, but it goes on pretty much translucent, so it adds a little bit of brightening to my under eyes, but not a lot of color. So I do like using it mainly just under my eyes, and I'm just putting that on a little tapered brush. This powder is very finely milled. It's beautiful. If you haven't tried it, it's a beautiful powder, but it does have, at least this one does, not all of them do, but this one specifically has a little bit of kind of shimmer milled into the powder, and you know, inside under normal lighting it looks beautiful, brightening, supple, you know, really bounces the light back in a beautiful way. In daylight outside, it looks glittery, and it's quite noticeable. So I wouldn't repurchase it because of that, and it took me months of using this to realize that I've got glitter face when I'm outside. So I tend to really only reach for this now when I know that I'm not going to be outside a lot. So today is kind of just a day that I'm doing some stuff around the house. It seems to be a lot of my days actually, but I don't plan on like going to a picnic or a family gathering or anything where I'm going to be around a bunch of people that are within 10 feet of my face. So I'm comfortable using this today, but that's actually kind of a disappointing discovery I've made about that product, and I thought I'd share. Okay, so that's set. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm really liking the way my base is looking. And it's, you can tell, you know, the light bouncing off makes me look a little glowier than I am, but you can see there is some luminosity there. I think that primer is providing mixed in with the foundation. So I'm really interested to see how this wears throughout the day. I'm going to go ahead and set the rest of my face just with this Too Faced Ethereal Light Translucent Setting Powder. Just tap a little into the lid here, and I'm actually going to use a large brush for this. This brush I got as a Christmas gift. Pro Bronzer 80 bronzer brush from just the Sephora collection. It is so soft and huge, and I love it. I don't actually use it for bronzer, which is fine. You can use brushes however you want. But for a light coating of powder all over the face, this is a beautiful brush. Or even just for blending out your base products at the end, you know, kind of blurring your foundation and not your foundation, blurring your blush and bronzer together. This is a beautiful, gentle, soft brush for that purpose. And I don't know what it is about these huge fluffy brushes, but they just really tick the boxes for me. I'm so happy to have this. And I'm lucky to have people in my life that, you know, take note of the things that I want and remember them when gift giving season comes around. It's very sweet. So for bronzer today, I'm just going to use my tried and true ABH bronzer. And for that, I'm just going to use this little IT Cosmetics angled brush and just go for it. It's kind of funny. Are you the kind of person that really thinks through your bronzer placement? Or do you just kind of hit all the spots and not really think about it? You just know where to go. I used to be one that would really try to strictly follow those, you know, face charts you would see that show you where to place your contour, your highlight, your blush, your bronzer. And that kind of added an element of stress to doing my makeup. Now I feel like I just kind of, I know where I want to put things, so I don't really think about it too much. It's nice. Putting on makeup can be either super relaxing or super stressful. And I choose for it to be relaxing and fun. Alright, so what do you think? Is that enough bronzer? So for highlight today, I'm going to go with my Essence Pure Nude. I was going to say bronzer, highlight. And just a little Real Techniques brush. The name has worn off, so I don't really remember what it's called, but this little pink one. And I'm not going to do anything crazy with my highlighter. I never really do. You know, some people are able to just kind of put it basically all over their face, and I can't get away with that. I will look ridiculous by the end of the day. I'm actually just going to take my powder brush and go over that just to kind of make sure that it's nicely dispersed and not too, I don't know, streaky. Is that the right term? Okay, moving on. Blush time. I'm going to use Mood Exposure Ambient Blush. This is also from Hourglass, and this is in my 2-week makeup basket. So what do I want to use? I'm going to go ahead and just use this e.l.f. It says highlighter brush, but it works nice for blush. And see where this gets me. such a nice nudie kind of color. At least on me it is. And it's hard to go overboard, which I appreciate. Went ahead and applied some of my e.l.f. Ride or Die lip balm just to get the moisture going into my lips, because I am going to use a liquid lipstick at the end. And let's just move right on to eyes. I'm going to prime using just the Milani eyeshadow primer. I think thanks to Emily Noel, everybody has tried this primer, it seems like, and it doesn't take much. I am going to go with this little palette that I put together of just some MAC singles. This is kind of a go-to, easy, don't have to think about it type eyeshadow situation I've put together. So I'm just going to start by taking a nudish color and setting from the crease to the brow bone. So I am on the hunt for a new TV series to watch, and if anybody has any suggestions, let me tell you what I like in a TV series. I like comedy, and I don't like gore, but I like kind of like psychological thriller mystery type things. I don't like romantic stuff. Yeah, nothing too, I don't know, like chick flicky. I'm more into the, you know, getting good belly laughs in, or diving into a mystery or, you know, a crime show or something. So those are my preferences. And okay, we just finished The Kaminsky Method with Michael Douglas. Yeah, Michael Douglas. That, not movie, that show was hilarious. We watched it, I think, 4 nights, and we watched all 3 seasons. They're short seasons, but still, I think that's pretty telling. Anyway, I'm just going to go in with this kind of neutrally peachy shade. What is this called? It looks a lot like soft brown, but it's not. Tete a Tint from MAC. The Kaminsky Method was hilarious, and I will absolutely rewatch that, you know, maybe a few years down the road. So now at night when we're eating our dinner and just hanging out, we don't know what to watch. And when I say we, I'm not talking about like my other personality, I'm talking about my spouse. So yeah, we just don't know what to watch and we feel lost. Isn't that sad? We've come to this time in society where if there's nothing on TV, like, what do you do with yourself? Oh my gosh, speaking of that, let's go on a little side rant. Our power went out unexpectedly. The whole complex did, and then down the road all the stoplights were out, and I don't know what happened, but it went out. And it was out for 42 minutes, and it was the longest 42 minutes of my life. Isn't that terrible? I really need to expand my mind a little bit. I do love to read, but what's funny is I go through seasons of loving to read. And for some reason, specifically in the summer, I don't have that urge or that itch to read a book and lose myself in a story. But as soon as fall hits, like my nose will be in a book constantly, you know, through the winter and, you know, early spring. So you'd think, well, maybe it's because in summer it's warmed up and you want to be outside. No, that's not what's happening. I'm not outside. It has warmed up, but I'm not like, well, I do go out and do stuff. I'm not like a couch potato, but you know, that urge to read is just truly gone, even if all I'm doing is hanging out at home by myself. So I don't know what that's about. All right, so while I take forever to do my eyes, let's talk about pets. I have a cat and a bunny. My cat is 20 years old and my bunny is about 5. So as you can imagine, it's kind of an awkward time in my life as a pet owner. My cat, I feel like every day when I wake up, I'm relieved that he's still alive, and that's kind of an emotional drain. It's like a anticipated grief. So, you know, that's not the easiest thing for me to deal with. I've had him, I picked him out of the litter. So he has been with me for 20 years. And to not have him is just repellent. So that's, you know, kind of a daily thing that I struggle with is worrying that I won't have him tomorrow. And then when it comes to the bunny, bunnies aren't really known for having long lifespans. She is pretty big, and you know, she eats well, she stays hydrated, she gets exercise, lots of attention. I keep her healthy, and you know, I would hope that she will live, you know, that lifespan that you read about but you never actually hear about, you know, that like 10 to 12 year mark for a domestic bunny. So you know, I'm optimistic. But also, I did have rabbits as a kid. In fact, I showed them in 4-H. And, you know, it was a different life back then. You know, their living environment wasn't up to me. It was up to my parents. So my rabbits lived outside in a hutch and just didn't have the same enrichment that I am able to provide for my rabbit that I have now. And their lifespans were, you know, like maybe 3 years. And, you know, it seemed like the explanation was always heart attack, you know, like dogs barking or something like that, you know, scaring them and having a heart attack. So I always thought that rabbits were super sensitive and would just die easily. And now as an adult, I realize that that's probably not true. I think it's more, they really require a really nutritious diet, you know, and I don't want to make it sound like we neglected our rabbits. We didn't. You know, they had their hay, they had their feed, they had water, you know, they had a clean cage, but just not the level of nutrition that I know to provide now, and not the level of mental enrichment. You know, cage boredom's a real thing and probably causes a lot of stress on anything that's caged. So I'm, you know, very mindful of letting my rabbit run around and get her exercise. I buy her new toys all the time to keep her mind working. And anyway, this is the longest time I've had a rabbit survive. But because of my experience as a child, my mind just keeps saying, you know, well, she's 5 years old and any day now she could be gone. And that's, you know, that's also a mental struggle. So it's a long way of saying, as a pet owner, these aren't like the best days for me. Those days are gone. You know, my cat's not a kitten anymore or like super playful, and I'm constantly worried about both my pets. I'm just going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Eyes to Mesmerize now. We did have a dog. She passed away a few years ago. She was 11 years old and she did have cancer. And that was just the longest drawn out grief that I had ever experienced. Knowing that she was dying and having her on comfort measures and watching the process of her going from just the sweetest, most playful dog to being incontinent and in pain, you know, that slide downhill was, it was horrible. And when the time came that we had to have her put down, because, you know, to allow an animal to actually pass away of cancer, in my opinion, is, yeah, that's abuse. That's terrible. And, yeah, didn't want that to happen to her. So when the time came that it was obvious she didn't have quality of life anymore and we had to put her down, that was just, that was 3 years ago, and it still makes me sad, or it's hard to talk about. Anyway, up until 3 years ago, I had, even as a child, I mean, my whole life, I had always had dogs, usually 2 at a time. And then when one of our family dogs passed away, it was just the dog my husband and I had, you know. So so we had one dog, and now I have no dogs. And I just still, I feel like a dog owner still. And it's so weird to not have that presence in my life. It's definitely affected the things that I do, you know, getting outside, or even the enjoyment of camping is cut in half now, because going camping is fun, but going camping with your dog is a blast. And I just miss that so much. And I'm sure that this is something we can all kind of understand or have dealt with in our lives, and it's so painful. But someday, I told my cat when our dog passed away, I told my cat, I'm not going to get another dog until you pass away, because I feel like out of respect, you know, because he was what, 17 at the time? My cat was, when our dog passed away. So I thought, out of respect, I should just give him, you know, the majority of my attention, and let's not bring anybody new into our lives while he's around. But like I said, that was 3 years ago, and I think because I said that to him, he's just refusing to die now, which is fine. I'll go without a dog for the rest of my life if that means that I'm not going to lose this 20-year companion of mine. I know that's not going to happen, but I wouldn't mind if it did. Anyhow, I know someday I'm going to have a dog again, and I'm going to be back to that golden age of pet ownership, you know, where your animals are young and full of energy and life, and, you know, ready to go on all those adventures with you. And I'm really looking forward to that. So let me know, do you have pets, and what role do they play in your life? Okay, so for eyeliner, I'm going to use my Milani eyeliner. It's in my 2-week makeup basket. And I do typically use a little brush to put this on, but I am trying to get used to this felt tip applicator. It's not my favorite way to apply eyeliner, so I'm going to be really quiet, give your ears a break, and I'm going to put just a little bit of this on the upper lash line. I am getting better with this as I've kind of forced myself to just use it as is. I really do like that it's a blackish brown. I feel like blackish brown or brown eyeliners, they do not get enough credit. Okay, that looks good. I feel like I'm looking a little shiny, so I want to apply a little more powder through my T-zone before I do my brows. So I'm just going to go back with my translucent powder, and I'm hoping that powdering isn't going to make my foundation too thick, because as I griped about already a ton, this NARS foundation really curls up on me throughout the day, and I think powder definitely adds to that problem. But I'm shiny, and I don't want to be, or at least not this shiny. Okay. Cool. Now let's do the brows. And again, sticking with the theme, this is going to be a 2-week makeup basket. I want to say project every time and it trips me up in my head. 2-week makeup basket item. This is my ColourPop Brow Boss Gel. And I think I've said it before, or I know I have. I've taken the stopper out, so I have to roll a little glob of it onto my hand and pick it up with a spoolie. So I'm just actually going to use this little brow brush for that. I usually use the spoolie end of my Brow Wiz, but I didn't bring that into the living room with me. So this will do just fine though. Really like this gel. Yeah, it's a good one. What do you think? I think that's good. My God, if I had the editing patience to put together just like a bloopers reel of the stupid things I say while I'm rambling endlessly, man, that would be that would be entertaining. At least for me it would be, because my gosh, the things I say. Okay, moving on. I'm gonna go ahead and just put a little nude liner into my lower waterline. It's hard to stay in frame when I do this. I don't know how the gurus do it, but I'm not a guru, so I'll just do it like a not a guru. Guru, what a weird word. Whenever I do this, when my husband's around, he goes, ah, the whole time, because it just grosses him out to see something so close to the eyeball. It's kind of funny. Even when he's seen me editing, and it'll get to a point, like when I was using the viewfinder a couple videos back to do my liner, that really got him squealing. It was hilarious. Okay, for my lashes today, another item from my 2-week basket. This is just my Nabla Vicious Mascara. Okay, I really like that mascara. What do you think? I'm still getting to know it, but so far I really like it. It doesn't hold a curl, which I used to think was super important to me, but now that I'm using this one that doesn't, the way it kind of elongates my lashes, like to the side, gives it more of a cat eye. Is that right? You know what I'm saying. Gives it a different kind of feel, and I really like it. So I'm glad I put this in my basket. So what I'm going to do real quick here is, I have a natural beauty mark here and one down here, and whenever I put on foundation, it kind of puts like a blurring layer over those spots, and I like those spots. So I'm going to take my ColourPop freckle pen, which I forgot to include when I did my makeup collection. I only have one of these, one freckle pen type product. So when I was doing my category, somehow I just overlooked this, but I use it solely to fill in my beauty marks. It's kind of the perfect color for it. And, you know, it's a freckle pen, so that's what it's made for. And it just, I don't know, somehow makes my foundation look a little bit more natural to me when you can see those kinds of pigmentation coming through. So I'm glad I've got that going. And now for the last item of the day, it's going to be lips. And what I think I'm going to do, I did this the other day and I really liked it, so I want to do it again. It's another good thing about these makeup baskets, is really learning new combinations for your makeup. I'm going to put a layer of my liquid lipstick from my basket all over the lips and kind of pat it out, and then I'm going to dab over this lipstick from Lisa Eldridge in the color Myth, and then I'm going to line my lips at the end to perfect the edges with my soft spoken lip liner, which is around here somewhere, and also a part of my 2-week makeup basket. So, super professional camera work. Look at this. This is the finished look. Do you like it? Do you not like it? If you don't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to hear it. I like it. I think it turned out good. So much fun getting use out of my makeup basket items and trying new things. I'm super stoked to try this foundation primer cocktail that I made. And I will just leave a note in the comments letting you know how it wore by the end of the day. But fingers crossed, this is how I'm going to get good use out of those 2 items. Otherwise, I think they're going to end up leaving my life, and that's sad, isn't it? All right, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you later.